I'm not sure
Hello, Internet!
you need to quit sending discussion material to me like a minute and a half before the stream. Like, I feel like this is your way of cutting me off at this
It's him
point.
baiting you.
Tells me to read the thing, doesn't want to discuss
He takes
it.
the bait every time! Alright, well, it is going to be a fun-filled night tonight. Because I have actually no idea what the fuck we're doing. We did Worm and Fates the night last time, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, so we need something else.
So.
We need something else indeed. We haven't done a familiar of Zero in a while, have we?
Oh boy.
As always, the fanfiction can be found in the Discord down below. Now just drop that not in the news section, like the smart individual I am.
Yeah, smart. Definitely.
Yeah, very big brain. Massive brain, one might say.
Might be a bit smooth though. Careful.
What my brain lacks in wrinkles, I make up for in size. Anyway.
I feel like that would be a horrifying MRI to have to look at.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, I just saw... Sneaky, did you see how much the stock market jumped at just the suggestion that Trump would let millions of people die to save the economy?
I don't see a problem with this.
Sneaky, you do realize that despite people saying it's an old person's disease, there are currently thousands of British people, roughly our age, intubated because they thought it was an old person disease?
Yes.
Just checking.
You keep saying words and I keep not finding any issues there. So what you're saying is thousands of teenagers and millennials who thought themselves better than the disease that was going around and proceeded to do incredibly stupid acts of retardation ended up getting critically sick and spreading it to other people.
Yeah, and those are the people who...
Okay, I don't see an issue here with them dying.
I am willing to stay locked in my house for 2 weeks because I don't trust those people. Because one of those stupid kids could... Sneaky, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these stupid kids makes some kind of spreading coronavirus meme and licks their hand and goes around wiping people's faces.
Oh, you poor sweet summer child.
That's
have you not seen
the... already happened.
Have you not seen the memes going around?
I tried not to, actually.
It's too late. There's already a bunch of TikTok influencers and Snapchat influencers doing the coronavirus challenge where they lick various objects such as doorknobs, toilet seats, and supplies sold in stores. And, yeah.
And that's the point where it's like, people like you are why I find friends slowly coming to terms with the fact that maybe the death penalty should be a thing. When you endanger others.
You know what? Maybe. Anyway, so this is Halkagania.
Maybe we just let them die. But that's my problem. If people like that exist, I don't want to go outside for 2 weeks until I can be reasonably certain I'm safe.
You're in Chicago, so that's never gonna happen. What the absolute hell are we reading? You know what, Pedro? We are reading a Familiar of Zero story, because we haven't done one of those in a while. And not only is it a Familiar of Zero story, it is hot fucking garbage, is what it is. So, hold on to your panties, because this is going to be a ride of disappointment. This is the Halkagenia Bane King. Summary reads as the following. I didn't like the ending of the anime and guessed that Saito was only marrying Luis is set in stone, so therefore my desire is this. Saito gets summoned by Luis. Okay, this went in a different...
What?
How is that better?
Luis from what, Left 4 Dead? And become familiar, only he's smarter, more ambitious, completely different personality, and just generally a not fucking doormat. Wow, it's almost like that isn't Saito anymore. Also, he has a genetic ability that allows him to counter magic and enslave elves and nobles.
That's
There might be brutality in this story, but it's mostly him just getting a harem.
1 second.
Gore, sex, parody, possibly plot. This is a fantasy romance story despite declaring its parody status, which does not bring me reassurance. Now, I find it amusing that the author is like, oh, well, Saito's definitely getting a harem in this. It's like, okay, well, he had a harem in the original canon, too. It's just, he was literally kind of brainwashed into loving just Luis. Didn't mean he didn't basically have a harem, though.
How do you get brainwashed? How do you get brainwashed? Because again, I didn't watch the entire
Right,
thing.
so the familiar runes basically brainwash any creature that they're placed on because, like, just wildly different animals that would never tolerate human contact or allow humans to do various things to them, such as dragons just allowing them to be themselves to be ridden like they were a beast, a burden. They're branded with the familiar runes, and suddenly they're just hunky-dory with everything the human tells them to do.
I should be eating you like a charcuterie French fry, but I'm not.
And on humans, they kind of implied in the light novels that it was like a slow-acting thing. It didn't make them instantly loyal, but if it was like a choice between helping Luis and not helping Luis, he would be nudged towards helping Luis, and it would be going like slowly farther and farther and farther. As an example, it was given in the light novels. I don't know if they ever got to this in the manga or anime because I didn't watch or read either of those. But in the light novels, one of the examples given was the previous, I should say the original Gandalfir, which is what Saito is branded as, became so fanatically loyal to Brimir, the mage she was branded to, that she like basically participated in wholesale slaughter of her own species.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and like I think this is something like she was crying during the whole time or whatever, and she genocided a couple other species too. But like even though she was crying, she still did it because that's just the loyalty levels that it induces in people.
What is it with Japan and slavery? Either blatant or not.
Well, you see, they're really missing having Korea.
I want to say you're an asshole, but...
Exactly. Now, anyway, this is just, like, when I first read this, I got to the part counters magic, and I was like, oh, what's she gonna be fucking Toma from, like an Index?
But like, can I just say, the one thing that I really appreciated...
Yeah.
So in Powder Mage series, which fuck you, you still need to read.
Yes, yes.
Because I think you'll actually enjoy it. If someone, there were people who were anti-magic people, right?
Sure.
But in order to do it, magicians had to give up magic.
Right.
Like, you will never be able to do it again.
But you'll also be able to break other people's spells.
And it's a bubble around you. Like, it's a... Sneaky. It's almost like they become a Yelzmari.
Right.
And this was the important thing. The stronger the mage, the stronger the anti... So, like, you couldn't be, like, a weak-ass mage...
And then be like, I'm gonna fuck over people with anti-magic, right?
You could, but they had to be at least... Like, if they were stronger than you, they could still just zap your ass with lightning.
Right, right.
I was like, see, this is reasonable. Oh, and part of the reason that, like, the really powerful ones basically never did it was because it's like, so I could fuck over every other magician on the continent, or I could keep the ability to summon meteors.
And fuck over everyone on the continent.
Because that's the other thing. Basically, using the magic, it didn't, like, warp their personalities, but it definitely made them, like, cocky bastards.
See, that's something we need more of in media. Is like so
magicians
often
cocky bastards,
or cocky magicians, because, like, honestly, if you were in a world where guy's got a sword, and at best, maybe he's trained in the bow to the point where it's actually useful on the battlefield, which is significantly different from being trained in the bow to hunt and being trained in the bow to be part of a giant block of militiamen. Wildly different.
Well, also, I want to point out, this is a world with gun.
Right.
Black powder gun.
I know, but what I'm saying in general is fantasy. So, your average person you're going to be fighting has got a sword. You have lightning. You're going to be significantly, winning 99.99% of those fights. It's not a guarantee, but it's pretty much you're going to win those fights.
Yeah.
So,
and why wouldn't you? Because you have lightning and wind and fire and whatever else you damn well want.
So, yeah, there is a level of cockiness that, well, it's cockiness, and I want to see more cockiness from mages in various fantasy stories, and I also want more intellectual.
Yes.
More booky intellectual, because, like, Familiar Zero, I guess they can get away with it because they're all fucking sorcerers.
Yeah.
But I'm actually kind of tired of seeing this D&D. I guess the D&D characters in general, though, as the D&D wizards I see so often. Do, like, I've seen people play them, and they're just like, oh yeah, he's like the opposite of a nerd. I'm just sitting here like, you do know how wizards gain their powers, right?
By being nerds. If you wanted to be a wizard who isn't a nerd, go be a sorcerer.
For his neutral special, Saito wields a gun. I cast gun!
No, but that's the thing. That was the thing that I love. That was the thing I love about the powder mages. That is their sneaky. That's all of their specials is gun.
Fair enough.
What do? I use gunpowder for magic.
That sounds dangerous.
Because here's the thing, right? At some point, because they've reached basically, like, they've reached, like, decent levels of black powder technology, right? Like, they're starting to get rifles with multiple shots, right?
Right.
So it's and sniper rifles are a thing. At some point, your average soldier is going to have a sniper rifle that outranges a magician just by but the dude who can literally sense when gunpowder's being used around him,
right,
he's got a lot longer than the mage does. Sure, at some point you're going to get sniper rifles that work 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles past the curvature of the fucking earth eventually. And then
what's the longest shot recorded right now? 3.7 miles by some Canadian sniper, and just like, what
literally
the fuck,
had to
dude?
account for the curvature of the earth.
What the fuck, dude?
Right, but like that's what I'm saying. Like the powder mage who was the best at sensing gunpowder, her range was a mile.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an eternal arms race.
Yeah, it's an eternal arms race. I'm just saying that even once you get sniper rifles that go a mile out, the gunpowder mage is going to still be way safer because, like, oh look, they're all within a few hundred yards of me. Your bullets don't work. Fuck you.
Your bullets don't work. Fuck you. I like that. Anyway, so this garbage story, right? So yeah, but I OC's abilities and paths. I own all these things. Actually, you don't own any of them. Some elements might be inspired by Dragon Age or Warframe. Yes, that's what I want to see in my medieval fantasy. I want a inspired by Warframe. Anyway, so this is the Prologue, chapter Prologue. Saito woke up and first thing he felt was a sharp migraine. Trying to keep his head from splitting, he takes several deep breaths and barely managed to, new paragraph, get himself out of bed.
New paragraph? How inventive of Saito.
With some difficulty, he walks slowly to bathroom after showering, looks at himself in mirror, and was shocked at his face or, new paragraph, more specifically, his eyes. Q. Just what happened last night, he muttered, looking... Question mark? End quote, comma.
I'm sorry? Oh, what are they doing with these cues?
What are they doing with the paragraphing? What is this? What format hell have we entered onto?
I think you mean into, Sneaky?
What the fuck is this? Or just looking into his eyes. On mirror was face that was common, if not slightly attractive face? With raven hair, new paragraph, wet from shower, something he inherited from his father?
What? Hair wet from a shower? He inherited that from his father, eh?
Apparently.
That's a very strange thing to inherit.
But where his mother's blue eyes should be something different? Q? No, his eyes were there and they blew. To his relief that nothing from last night left a scar. What? However, it was the shade of blue, and what was inside his eyes, and small flashes of other colors that shocked him. Q? On mirror where his eyes were? Oh boy, dude, your eyes are on the mirror? That's,
You gotta see a doctor, bro.
You should see a doctor about that.
Or possibly try consulting
the Necronomicon or something. Help.
Try Sneaky. At minimum, please see your local robot doctor to get your eyes back.
Alexa, Google search mirror took eyes Necronomicon counterspell.
Sneaky, wait, open Windows, ask Cortana that question.
Cortana, I don't have eyes anymore. Google search. I don't have Cortana because I use Windows 7 like a champion.
She's on Windows 7 now. They've added her retroactively. You must always have Cortana with you.
On mirror where his eyes were inside the irises. His eyes were inside the irises. The various blues shift, twist, and change while still maintaining flow around border. What? When stopped, new paragraph. Focusing, he saw eye as they usually were. The normal blue, as opposed to the not normal blue?
What is a not normal blue? We've got like 14 different kinds of blue, guys.
But when paid attention and focused, he saw those eyes change, and with little more new paragraph concentration, they returned to normal. But he was sure change was still active. Q. Regardless, this needs careful study, Saito thought. But for now, I better ready.
Sneaky, you know what that formatting reminds me of? The way those paragraphs are split?
What?
It reminds me of when we tried to copy paste from Google Drive into
you're right.
Fanfiction's
Yeah.
document setting. That might have been a codex problem.
Okay, but still, you
still should have fixed it. But
yeah, but I mean, like when you're,
because that's super obvious.
Well, yeah, like when you're pasting it in,
and you go, huh? This doesn't look anything like what I had.
Yeah, pretty much. But for this actually sounds like a really good shirt quote to have. But for now, I better ready.
Well, I mean, Sneaky. Clearly, he's just saying he just needs to ready an action. Obviously.
Duh.
They forgot. Look, the dragon. Look, it's a green dragon. It casts invisibility. He's just readying an action. I don't see what the problem is.
Koss or some say Kossum would approve.
I love how you don't you don't even have to add, or some would say Kossum. Just everyone knows instinctually. Yeah, you just add that.
That's just how it's referred to as.
That's just how you say it.
No, guys, he does know what line breaks are. Oh, I'm even more confused now. What is happening?
Something special.
With those thoughts, he dried up. What?
Sorry?
What?
What did you just read to us?
With those thoughts, he dried up. Now, just imagine him just be like, just turning into that skeleton that gets sucked the life out of.
Oh. Fucking, that's the Indiana Jones Ark of the Covenant.
Now that I have studied my eyes.
My purpose is done. Farewell.
All the water leaves your body simultaneously. And got ready to dress for school. Wait, he got ready to dress for school. So he didn't get dressed up. He just got ready to do it. It wasn't until he looked at his watch did he realize he woke up 3 hours early.
Huh?
He woke up at 3 a.m.? And he didn't notice?
How do you not notice that?
Thinking it would be a hassle going back to bed, Saito just sat in his chair.
Wait, 3 hours early, Gov.
Yes, yeah, just 3 hours early, didn't even notice.
It's fine, I'm sure. Probably.
Began reading some manga to pass the time before he could pick a book. I mean, honestly, if I was like, oh man, dude, my eyes are like having some trippy acid effect going on. Oh shit, I'm 3 hours early for school. I guess I better read manga instead of figuring out why my eyes are having a fucking seizure.
I'd be like, you know what? I think it's time for me to go back to at minimum, go back to sleep. Right?
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Sleep that off.
Blah, 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 blah. Before he could pick up a book, his eyes curiously looked at rocky egg-shaped object on his desk. Curiosity winning over, he picked up the object and carefully examined it. All around it was scorched black, as if rock he thought rock had been burned and left in fire for so long. Unintentionally, Saito gently squeezed his right hand, and suddenly rock was crushed into fine black powder. Surprised.
What? Okay, is this when the author's gonna be like, oh wait, it was a lump of coal. He's still weak shit.
Surprised, Saito dusted his hands of remains of object when he recalled where and when that object came from, as well as to what happened last night. Hold on.
When will this man? When will this
is
end?
bolded all caps. So let me get the Vuvuzela out. Flashback.
Do you mean the megaphone?
Sure.
No, he probably grabbed a Fufuzela and tried to use it as a megaphone.
You can't prove me wrong. Last night, in introducing the family. Wait, why do we have to introduce the family? Last night, he was at family.
I see.
As opposed to being at soup, trying to buy clothes. He always thought he and his family were normal. A typical normal family. Of a mom, a dad, and teenage son. Who still lives with them because he's a fucking neat.
Sneaky. They can't be a typical family. There's not a lolly maid. That's just how Japan works, right?
I mean, maybe.
Wait, are you telling me anime has been lying to me that I'm not gonna get hit by a truck and end up with a harem?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Wait,
Next.
has anime been wrong? Is flat not justice?
Nope, definitely, definitely wrong on that one. Should move on. Wow, this is fucking putting me to sleep. I mean, not only is it garbage, I just want to die. I just want to sleep and die. Oh god, this is so boring. Anyway, so yeah, blah 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 blah. Apparently, he figured out what paragraphs were. what the fucking shit? Who the fuck now? Right, so the family, well, they have qualities. Okay. Hariga Genrai, the source of thunder. Blah blah is lower to your handsomeness, blah 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 blah. However, blah 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 blah. Overall average. He collected interesting objects as a child. Genrai would take objects home with him. Sometimes rocks, bike pedals, duffel bag full of $500,000 in cash.
What does any of this have to do?
I don't know. So actually I do know what's going on here. So what the author is doing here is they are trying to introduce a backstory to the family, and they're trying to introduce the characterization of the family. And instead of doing this over a course of time, where the readers can get used to the personality and the growth direction of the general setting and the characters themselves, the author is simply trying to jumpstart that by just being like, yeah, so these are all the parents' powers and quirks. And so when my original character, maybe not self-insert, maybe self-insert, when my original character goes onto the scene as a self-insert meat puppet, everyone will treat me better. And the readers will totally be far more understanding with me when I get super OP powers, because it's like my fictional father had stuff, you know? And so I just got it, but now I'm just better at everything. Because I don't know how to write a narrative, character development, or character narrative. I think that about sums it up.
Yeah, pretty much. Sounds pretty good to me. Sounds more or less like you got it. You know, if I just gotta take a moment to complain about this. We've talked about it before, but keep it simple, stupid. Right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, I'm gonna make the coolest, most amazing power. It should be, let's start with something simple, and what can I do with that?
Right. And
right,
no,
like,
that isn't to say that there isn't a time and place, because there is. There is definitely a time and place for, I'm gonna make the cool power, and it's gonna be really neat and stuff. People are gonna love reading about it. Usually time and place is very, how you say, not favoring fan fiction when it comes to totally original ideas. And I say this because fan fiction has limitations as to what's interesting and acceptable to an audience, compared to writing an original fiction and putting on like a fiction press or something. Because, you know, fan fiction just, if you just have Saito just come out and be like, oh yeah, you know, he can shoot fucking lasers from his eyes, it's just like, what? Why? What? That's not even like anything. There's nothing in canon to even support him doing that, or that anyone can do that, and it doesn't make sense. But if you're writing an original story and you're like, oh yeah, the main character figures out he can shoot things with his eye beams, more people are gonna be like, okay, it's really silly sounding and stupid sounding, but you know what? We don't have an option but to accept it.
Well, and again, it also depends on what you're doing, right? Like, let's start with a hypothetical. Sure. Let's say there's a dude whose dad could control wind and a mom who could make things stronger.
Right.
So he gets to make objects out of the wind and make them strong.
Right.
That's really simple. But you can do a million things with that. Or, like, Sneaky, let's just come up with some random crap off the top of our head. Like, I don't know. Let's see. What do we got?
I'm not gonna bother, but
yeah.
The
point is, you can come up with really simple stuff. That's like, you can do amazing stuff with it. And then here's the thing: people are more accepting of stuff being overpowered when it's overpowered because you're clever.
True.
Not because, like, Rising of the Shield Hero, I can be the most OP because I figured out that there's as many systems as you want to believe there are systems, so I can get stronger with all of them. This sounds really poorly planned out, author, and like you're just looking to give an excuse to spike the hero's power levels. But hey, maybe I'm just crazy. What do you think, Sneaky?
I think you're just crazy.
Fair.
But no, but seriously though, this sort of the exposition currently being used in this story here, in that where the author is building up the parents as to explain why the kid's so star-spangled amazing, is I cringe at this, because it's like, sure.
Why do you cringe at it?
Well,
you can't just go, I cringe at it. Tell the audience why it's cringy.
Well,
that's what we're here for.
What did I say I cringe at too? Hold on, let me just regather my thoughts.
Why this kid is so star-spangled amazing? Because
of right, because the parents. This method of like, oh, well, I'm not just giving my character powers, he got them from all the powers I gave to his parents. That's such a fucking, like, Bleach move. It's painful.
But here's the thing. It's even lamer than that, because at least Bleach slow-rolled you at the beginning.
True. No, and I was actually talking about Bleach earlier today at work, because the guy I was working with watches Bleach. And I did say to him that the whole Fullbringer thing is fanfiction. You can tell that after a certain point, it did kind of turn into just fanfiction. And I don't mean that in like a like a joking manner of calling it all fanfiction, because I don't want to recognize the rest of it. I meant some of the arcs definitely felt like I was reading a fanfiction. The characters were all over the place in terms of characterization. The plot made little to no sense. You would think it would have major relevance. Like some of the filler for Bleach. It was like super important shit, like invasions of the Senritai, like things that would have consequences.
Or like, hey, everybody got super close to their swords because the swords were alive and rebelled because they were tired of being treated like shit. Well,
and they were brainwashed a bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. A little bit of brainwashing, a little bit of tired of being treated like shit. Except for Kenpachi's, which was just like,
please, for the love of God, save my name. But anyway, so it's like, it's very fanfiction-y, because not only is that all those filler arcs very poorly done in terms of characters and narrative, but they also go on for far too long or far too short, and they don't really elucidate anything too well. They kind of just do sporadic info dumps, and it's all generally just bad. But on top of all of that, like the Fullbringer shit, that feels like fanfiction. That feels like a new power added into the fanfiction, specifically to make the character just more star-spangled awesome. And as I was saying earlier this day, is that it really cheapens the overall theme of Ichigo and the overall relationship between him and Chad. Because originally they had established that Chad and Orihime got their powers because Ichigo unlocked his powers and was uncontrollably spewing activated Ryatsu everywhere. And so therefore, their powers got activated and they became targets. And in the theme of Ichigo, he is a protector, that's what his name is, that's the kind of role he fulfills. It's the whole theme of Bleach. And it was in part of that theme, he endangers his friends by being around them because he can't control his powers. But even when he can't control his powers still give power to his friends that enable them to protect themselves. And so it kind of goes full circle, but then with the Fullbringer thing, they basically just retconned all that, and Chad actually got his powers the whole time from some bullshit with his mother being pregnant and being attacked by a hollow or some shit or whatever. And and Ichigo does suffer from what I was saying, the whole Star-Spangled Awesome thing of, his mother was a Quincy, so he gets Quincy powers. And because his father was a Shinigami, he for some reason has Shinigami powers. But because his mother was attacked by a hollow that somehow infected her, even this is the only time...
Hollow stuff?
Yeah, and this is the only time we've ever even heard of this.
It sound like the hollow did bad things.
Yeah, I know, right? And this is the only time we've ever heard in canon that a hollow can infect Quincy's. But she got infected by this rare, super, hyper, mega rare hollow. And now Ichigo also has...
by Aizen or something?
Something like that. And now Ichigo also has hollow powers. And now he has Fullbringer powers because he didn't... His hollow powers turned into his Shinigami powers, which allowed him to use his human hollow energy to unlock his human hollow powers, which circumvented the part where he soul suicided his spirit energy.
Which, by the way, can we talk about how much that whole thing cheapened the entire end of Bleach?
Yeah. And what that was actually honestly a very, very large kick in the face. And like I said, this feels very fan fictiony, where it's like, oh yeah, he's got to sacrifice all his powers, and he's got to do the one last big protect. He's got to give up everything. He's got to sacrifice everything for an ideal he believes in, for a cause he believes in.
But the long-term sacrifice of he has to go be normal, right?
Yeah, he has to give up the ability to protect people in the future to protect them in the now. And that is the peak of Ichigo's thematic arc. Is that he always wanted to be a protector, and he was constantly trying to get more power to protect the people that he wants to protect. And it wasn't even like a Shiro thing of he wants to protect everyone. No, he just wants to protect his friends and the people near him and the people in front of him. And then the peak question is, do I sacrifice my current power to never be able to protect someone again, but to be able to protect them now? And he sacrifices his power, and he's living a normal life, and then 3 more arcs happen where he gets all of his powers back.
Well, and here's the thing. If it had nothing to do with Fullbringers, I still might have been okay with it, because you could have worked it into his themes, right? Because if it had actually involved... First of all, it was the fact that everybody in all the 13 captains gave up a small chunk of their power. If that had been... Okay, we'll all shave off a little bit off the stick to put him back to level 1. I'd have been like, I can see that happening. And that would have been great, because you could have had the arc. First of all, it would have let you reset your power scaling, which Bleach really needed.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you could have worked it into his themes where all of the protecting he did came back because his friends protected him, and they gave him the power to help protect people again.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. And the other thing, that's the other when you brought up power skill, and that's the other thing I was talking about. Is the problem is that Bleach jumped the shark extremely early with who they had Ichigo fighting, and it really feels like sometimes all of the fact that Ichigo got all of these Star-Spangled Awesome powers wasn't because he was planning the plot in the future. It was as a desperate way of explaining why Ichigo is for some reason more powerful and better at swordsmanship than people who have spent literally thousands of years working on it. And it's like, oh yeah, well, you see, souls learn slower than normal human souls. Because they are immortal, except they're not, because they age backwards from old to young, except they don't because
unless you're an old man named Genryus?
Yeah, but Genryusai got older because they had flashbacks of him in the anime where he was younger and like more spry. So he got older over time, even though that's the opposite way you should be aging. And the fact that all of the old people are considered authority figures, even though it would be the youngest people that should be the authority figures, since they would be around the longest.
Gaia should be running the show.
Yeah, and it's just like there was just so much contradictory shit they introduced to try and cover for why Ichigo is inexplicably just better at everything than the people who have been spending hundreds of years of training for it. And like that was the thing, it's like, oh yeah, you need 100 years to get Bankai, and Ichigo got it in like 3 days. It's like, okay, I could sort of not understand that at all, actually.
Well, and then they go, oh well, you see, the magic man, the magic old man of the mountain, who, by the way, I will still say Kisuke is my favorite magic old man on the mountain ever.
He is pretty good, yes. How did this turn into a Bleach debate? It's not a Bleach debate. I'm using Bleach as a point of mainstream media that had several critical flaws in it that is seen quite often in fanfiction, such as Star-Spangled Awesome Child trying to explain why they have so many powers due to their parents, and other various things like we're seeing right here, where the author is spending at least scroll, spent at least 2/4 of the entire first chapter explaining why their parents are so amazing and awesome, and how many powers they have, and the kinds of reputations they earned. And then that's why Saito is magically more motivated, smarter, has powers, and anti-magic shell, and harem beam. Whoa, when did they say souls age backwards in the Senritai? Christ, it was actually fairly early on when they were talking about Hitsugaya and the Academy, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, it was fairly early.
So wait, that means Rukia is getting closer and closer to Ichigo's age, so it's way less creepy.
Because what it was explained as is that when you die, you enter the Soul Society as that age, and then you de-age back down to a baby, and then unexist yourself. And when you de-age to baby, that's when you re-enter the living world as a baby being born. And you're like and as you're de-aging, you're supposed to lose your memories over time to become that blank slate again, to be that baby that then gets born. Yeah, look, it was just really fucking confusing. They threw so much shit in and then retconned it and then unretconned it, and then we're like, shrug shoulders, I guess you'll never know.
Yeah, it was weird.
There was a lot of one-off lines that just never went anywhere, and it was kind of just like, that doesn't make much sense in the context of how this whole society operates. And that's another sort of narrative issue I've seen a lot of first-time writers, is that they'll mention stuff that has no relevance on the story, no relevance on the characters. Like that one author who spent nearly an entire chapter describing the main character OC's room and like its exact dimensions and all the furniture in it. And like we spent like an hour researching double queen bunk beds.
No, that was a Naruto one.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. We were like, first of all, we're like, do queen bunk beds exist? And we're like, yes, they do. We all kind of want one.
Yeah. And they spent the entire chapter just describing this character's room. And we were like, is this room ever even mentioned again in the next, like, 14 chapters they had? And it wasn't an insignificant amount of words. It was like 60k words. And so over the course of 60k words, this room is never even mentioned again. And so it's just like, they spent an entire chapter of narrative describing a room that had no impact on the plot. Just because they really wanted everyone to know what this room looks like and how awesome it was. And that's the sort of shit you see you see here. You know, you see it in a lot of fan fiction. You see it in quite a bit of anime. Especially all this fucking direct from web novel anime shit going on now these days. Where the title is like 7 sentences long, and there's so much narrative that you're just like, why the fuck am I being given this? And there's no test on this. Don't take notes.
You know, I'm looking forward to the day when we go back to simple titles, but now chapter titles are a short story of their own.
I mean, look,
like
anime is
chapter titles are like a solid 4 paragraphs.
Anime is already approaching like a critical meltdown point. Like, for crying out loud, the alchemist who fell asleep for 1,000 years and now wants to live a simple life. Like, it's actually or whatever it's called. Actually, an okay story. What the fuck is this chapter title?
Are you talking about the alchemist who survived?
Oh, it did have a short title. That's right.
My point.
The premise was she slept for 1,000 years.
Right.
But the title was The Alchemist Who Survived.
The problem is that with the anime industry, it's with every industry, with the Hollywood media industry, the music industry, any industry that has a creative output, games, any industry that has a creative output, that the companies chase after profits instead of chase after creativity. Because keep in mind, this is a creativity medium. It is a medium in which being creative is the point. The fact that you profit off of that is a bonus, not the goal.
I feel like you need to have a word with some Hollywood execs.
I do. I need to line them all up against the fucking wall. They're all pedophiles anyway. No one will care.
I mean, he's right about that at least.
Anyway, when you allow a creative medium to be controlled by income, by money, and you make companies chase profits instead of originality, and yes, nothing's original, everything's blah, 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 fuck off. when you chase profits instead of originality, what you end up is the current movie industry, which is just cookie cutter movie after cookie cutter movie, replace actor with different actor, same fucking story, same fucking ending, same fucking narrative. It's same thing with the games. All of the games have the exact same shit going on now. They all have the exact same mechanics. They're all buggy as garbage because people buy them anyway. Instead of, back in the day when if you had a bug in your game, that's it. You're fucked. Close your studio because you can't update the game and no one's gonna fucking buy a game that has a bug from chapter 1 that prevents you from saving ever again.
Doesn't matter if it's 1 out of 1,000 players.
It's gonna get the bad rap. No one's gonna buy the game because nobody wants to spend $60 on a game that you might not be able to play. And now it's just fucking look at Paradox, Jesus fucking Christ. Look at Games Workshop and how they handle their monetization policies.
I mean, look, the most egregious offender is Bethesda.
But
no, they leave game
no,
bugs
but
in all the time.
that's been a thing they've been doing since literally they started making games. That
doesn't make it any more acceptable.
No, it doesn't. But it's not like they changed over time to be less
shit.
Less shit. Yeah, I was trying to think of the way to frame with less integrity. Like their integrity hasn't changed. It's always been garbage. It's just now it's far more noticeable in an era where there's a lot more technology going on. Like it is very easy to mistake prototype technology and bugs. Like back in Morrowind, when you jumped and you hit a rock at just the right angle, but because you had a featherweight spell going on, you rocketed into the sky because people were still trying to figure out how 3D worked. And you're just like, oh, well, I guess that's just what happens. And so people excused it. But now that we've fully figured out what 3D work, how all that works, how textures work, how meshes work, how physics is supposed to generally operate in open world games where you have full control, all these things, now that we've figured them out, now that these games are coming out with still the exact same bugs they did back then, now people are getting angry and irritated because it's like, we figured this shit out. Fucking fix it before you send it to me.
Or yeah, sure, everybody laughs at the Skyrim giant bug. It's pathetic that it still exists.
No, that's not a bug. The whole launching into space thing, that was intentional.
Really? You're gonna tell me that that's a feature?
No, the developers literally said that was intentional. That was supposed to do that. From the interview itself, it was, yeah, originally it was a bug, but when we were playtesting it, we found it was hilarious, so we left it in on purpose, and now it's a feature. Yes, it literally is a bug that turned into a air quotes feature.
Alright, I mean, I can't get too violently upset about that one because there's been plenty of times.
But it's the same shit with anime especially, and oh my god, anime especially. The fucking cookie cutter isekais with zero plot, zero fucking cardboard characters. God damn. I could go outside and find a leaf on the ground with more personality than some of these waifus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say to that other than, yes, you are correct.
And that's what happens when you let the money control how you create. And I don't even know where we were going with this. We've deviated so far off topic. I just don't fucking care about this story. Is what my point is I just don't care about this fucking garbage ass. Just what the fuck was the formatting earlier? He figured out the formatting now, but he never fucking fixed it. The Halki Genia Triton Academy can't even fucking get the name of the shit correct. He's got it highlighted, underlined, italicized. It's its own fucking paragraph. Still can't fucking manage to get that fucking word right. Jesus Christ. Just and then this shit. He keeps fucking doing this garbage here. Period. Quotes. Comma. What the fuck is this? How did you fail first grade English? What the fuck is? Are you an American? I swear to fucking God, if you're an American, you didn't even list your country. Damn fucking straight, you didn't list your country. You fucking embarrassment to fucking humanity. Just. Insert dramatic wizard music here. Boom. Wizard music end.
Wizard?
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? And this is just fucking canon. It's literally just fucking canon. Not even a deviation from the dialogue of canon. It's literally just canon. What is the point? Why is there a comma here and the A is capitalized? Why is there a comma here between Tabitha with blue hair? Why is there no comma here? Louis. Apparently, Louise is trans. Only sometimes, though. She's gender fluid trans. Sometimes she's Louise and sometimes she's Louis. We literally learned what periods and commas were in first grade English.
We did?
Yeah.
Shit, all we learned in English was how not to eat glue.
Yeah, you failed that one, didn't you?
Not quite as hard as you did, apparently.
Just... I get it. I get it. I get it. It's fanfiction. I get it. Not everyone is going to be super professional author, 100 out of 100, nails everything. And I don't expect that. I don't. What I expect, though, is basic fucking grammar. That's what I expect. I expect you capable of writing a sentence. If you're going to sit down and write a fucking story, or try and write a fucking story, I first expect you to be able to write a fucking sentence correctly.
I feel like you're asking a lot. Maybe they can get every other sentence right? I feel like that's a good compromise. What do you think, Max?
Sure, why not?
Not everyone understood the concept of using periods. You're gonna have to elaborate on that, Pedro. But I can get it. There's times where it's like, oh, you should have used a comma here. Run-on sentences. I get that. No, I get that. Understandable. You're using too many commas. Understandable. But
you're trying desperately to figure out how to use semicolon. Understandable.
But it's just like, some of the shit we've seen, where it's like the sentences are just completely out of tense. We wented going toing the movies, and then we did it. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? What? Are you just adding random tense suffixes to everything? It's just like, what? Read a book. Jesus fucking Christ, read a book. And it's just so tiring, I guess you could say. Because if it was just your average, oh, you got a wrong tense here, you know, everything else is correct, but you got the wrong tense, or you know, it was one of those words that instead of adding ed to the end of the word, it's actually a different word. And it's like, okay, you know, I can get those mistakes. You know, not everyone is a first language English speaker. And, you know, there are many words out there in the English language that will fuck you up no matter what level of English you are on. And I can get those mistakes. But it's like a comma, end quote, period, or period, end quote, comma. It's like, when have you ever seen that in your existence? When have you ever seen anyone else ever do that? The answer is you haven't, because it doesn't exist. So, what baffles me is that writing that way implies that they have never read a magazine article, they've never read a book, they've never read a pamphlet, they never read a news article, they've never read anything in the newspaper, they've never read anything that isn't Facebook or Twitter. But for some reason, they're sitting down and writing a story, and they didn't think, hey, maybe I should figure out how a story is written. Just, you know.
Nah, seems like work.
Even dramatic wizard music. That's the sort of thing I could forgive. They don't know how to write a narrative. That's actually decently high level stuff. Is writing a cohesive, well paced narrative. That's high level stuff, and I don't blame people for not being able to do that. But have you ever seen that in a book? No, you haven't. You know why you've never seen that in a book? Because it's dumb, stupid, and overall hinders you.
In fact, I think one of the biggest problems is, believe it or not, there are sometimes when I'm a fan of like Amazon self-publishing, right? Because there are all kinds of authors. Like there's some guy who writes a series about a sentient dungeon, right? Is it a little dumb? Yeah, it is, but I enjoy it. Or there was one guy, he wrote one about it's about a hobgoblin. It's about a goblin who gets taken in by a human as like a worker, and then it's like, hey, I'll feed you and take care of you, and eventually the dude gets strong, gets well fed enough to become a hobgoblin.
Okay.
And it goes from there, and it's about him like trying to integrate with human society. And the dude's a bandit, so obviously he's integrating in all the wrong ways, right?
Right.
And he's learning all the wrong lessons. And it's reasonably amusing. But then you get stuff like some guy like you get like lit RPG stories and some, a bunch of like what are basically isekais, and it's like, no, stop. You shouldn't be published.
And here's more shit that I am completely baffled by the existence of in this story. He's got a numbered list.
Of what?
Dialogue!
What?
Yeah. Look at this. It's a numbered list of dialogue.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't even know. I just, I it's just what like people copy what they see, right?
Yep.
I want to point out, I managed to make it through this entire day without my headache coming back, and now it's coming back full force.
No problem. So people copy what they see when they encounter something they don't know how to handle. The average person, and I say average person, the reason why I say average person is because a literal chimp can manage to do this as well. When an average person encounters something that they personally haven't done before, they think about, have I seen other people do this? Are there people around me also doing this? And if they can find the answer to either of those questions, they then try and replicate those actions as best as possible. With varying amounts of success, of course. Maybe they're not quite getting all of the steps involved, but they try and copy from what they remember someone might have done, or from the people around them that are currently doing it. Because humans and their ancestors are very social species, and it's called eating the red berry, I believe, where we will only do things if others of our species are also doing them. An experiment that was run, where if there was a single person in a room and they're supposed to be taking this mock test, they don't know it's a mock test, but they think it's like some sort of like survey test. And smoke is then pumped into the room through the bottom of the door to simulate a fire going on. When alone, the person sees the smoke and begins to panic. And, starts like shouting for the instructor to be like, Instructor, there's a fire outside my door. However, when in a group setting with, say, 1 to 2 people, who are plants, obviously, and the person is there, seemingly taking the quiz with them, and smoke is pumped into the room, the person, more often than not, will then notice the smoke, but before they do anything, will look to their left, will look to their right, and see what the other people are doing. And of course, because they're plants, they're specifically instructed to do a specific action, which is ignore the smoke and act like you don't see it. And when the person sees the 2 other people in the room not reacting to the smoke, you know what they do?
They keep taking the test.
They ignore the smoke like the people around them are doing. Because they are in an unknown situation but they see the people near them not panicking to it, so they don't panic either. Which leads me back around to this. At what fucking point in time did this shit for brains author see a goddamn numbered list in any form of narrative writing for dialogue of all fucking things? Because the only shit I can think of where a numbered list shows up in a written article is those insipid 5 reasons should and 5 reasons don't and 5 things you might not know and 5 things you already did know articles that, like, BuzzFeed and all those other clickbait sites put out. That is, to me, the only way I can explain why this person thought this was a good idea, is that they, for some reason, beyond my explanation, believed that was how it was done. That's just, I don't know. You know,
yeah, like, I mean, I don't know what answer you're looking for other than, yeah, they're dumb. Really dumb.
This is my first fanfic ever. Please be honest about its flaws, but don't insult me. That is beneath you. First off, author, nothing is beneath me.
Definitely not girls.
Definitely not men. Or children.
I assumed the last one. It's concerning you felt the need to point it out.
Look, I just feel like in this very tense atmosphere of pretty much everyone coming out as a pedophile, I just need to establish that I am in fact not a pedophile.
You hear that, FBI? It's off the table. You can't bait him with that.
Also, I intend to make it a harem with it's a harem of only 5 with pink, black, blonde, blue, and purple. I am not a fan of Lewis, but she is a heroine, and I intend to make Saito send her to heaven.
What now?
I believe that is a sex thing.
Of course it is.
So, I'm not gonna bother leaving a review on this because I'm
cream of mankind's crop, everybody. Woo!
I can't. I physically cannot sit down and write out my thoughts on this because I hate this so much. You know what? I actually hate this so much. I feel like we should end this early.
I'm down with that. I got burgers waiting.
This is a record.
Yeah, I know this is a record for ending it early, but I'm just so fucking tired right now. You just have no idea how infuriated. I knew this was gonna be bad, and I thought it was just gonna be gimmicky bad, but it's just the spelling errors, like the blatant errors. Like sometimes it would be one thing, Max, if the author just believed Luis's name was spelled Lewis. That'd be one thing. But the author correctly spells her name multiple times throughout the story, which means it's not so much that he thinks her name is Lewis, is that he just never fucking checked if he was writing Luis or not.
Control F is your friend in text editors.
Like, you're writing a fucking character's name and you don't even make sure you're writing the correct character? You shouldn't have to be told that. Like, you would... It's like, what? You know what would actually be a good comedy skit? If Friday the 13th was written by the average fanfiction author, where, Jason starts off as the big bad murdering everyone, but, somewhere around the 5th paragraph, the author forgot to make sure they were talking about Jason killing people, and now it's Lucy, the shy Asian kid, just going around with a machete and hockey mask stabbing people because they
Jason was in fact there to try to save them from Lucy.
Yeah, and like just fucking just go off the rails with it. It's just not expecting geniuses here, but my standards were low, but Jesus Christ. Yeah.
My standards were low and you failed completely anyway.
Yeah, go for it, Andros. You can start throwing me fics again to read on this podcast because it's fucking, oh my god. They can't get the name of the country right multiple times. They can't get the name of the continent right. They can't get the name of the main character right. They can't get the name of anyone right. They've misspelled multiple names as I was scrolling through this story. I just saw fucking names left and right being misspelled. For some reason, there's fucking commas after periods and question marks. And there's fucking no commas after shit where there should be commas. And sometimes the author just forgets entire words from the sentence. Let alone all the tense fuckery going on there. And the author's just like, me get out of bed, urk. It's like, how the fuck did you sit there and go, oh yeah, that's how people talk when they get out of bed?
Oh, I haven't heard him this mad in a while, Max.
I feel like I heard him this mad recently. Yeah, no, I did. Yeah. So, some work rants.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. Sneaky, do me a favor. Go check your blood pressure, buddy.
No, my heart's steady. As I've told my co-workers before when they were trying to make some jokes and they made very poor jokes, and I don't mean like bad jokes as in they were terrible jokes. I mean, I didn't realize they were jokes until they're like, oh, I'm sorry, that was a joke. I'm like, I didn't realize you were trying to be funny. Like, I wasn't insulted by what you said because I didn't think it was an insult. I just didn't realize you were attempting to be funny. I thought you were just saying dumb shit. But now that you've told me you were trying to be funny, I'm even more disappointed in you now because I don't know how the fuck that was supposed to be humor.
Go on, tell the class how you really feel.
This is my first fanfic, but I'm gonna write a fucking harem. It's like, you can't even manage to get the main character's name correct, but you're gonna try and write a harem?
Well, you see, Sneaky, they see lots of people write harems, so they think it can't be that hard.
You know what? I scratched that. I am making a review. Can't get the main character's name right, but wants to write a harem. Truly, 10 out of 10, paragon of our times.
Wait, Sneaky, give them the pro writing tip of F7.
Can't get main character's name right. Wants it out of him. Truth and 10 paragraph. Posted review. Solid 5 out of 7 review. Thank you, Andros. I appreciate the perfect score you gave me. It's just like I'm sure I could scroll back through this fucking story and find even more shit to be fucking infuriated by. Like apparently Saito is planning on enslaving the whole world by using an artifact that gave him blue milk that he lactates or something. I don't fucking know. It's just like, what? It's just... Like this is the sort of shit that I'll get like humorously angry about. Like I'm not really angry when some first time author comes out and you know just makes some generic self-insert OC that has all the powers and does all the right things and gets all the girls and it's just generally amazing and awesome and star-spangled amazing. Yeah, I'll get angry about that, but I'm not genuinely angry about that. I'm doing it to be humorous and add levity to the situation that is this author's complete inability to write words. However, in this instance, I am genuinely fucking infuriated because it's just this level of just blatant inability isn't because you're a first time writer, isn't because English might not be your first language. It's because you put zero effort into learning English in general. It's because you don't pick up books to read. You go on Facebook and you look at the posts. You don't read news articles. You don't look at shit. You just sit there and do nothing. You don't. You announce you're gonna write a story. It's gonna be a harem. It's gonna be an epic. It's gonna be 70,000 words long. And you can't even get past the first chapter because you have no idea what you're doing. I'm fucking done. I'm done. I added 10 more minutes of rant. I'm fucking done. Barely disguised fetish for 500. Yeah. Anyway.
Good night, everyone. We'll be staying on
so
for an extra few minutes to
tired.
convince Sneaky to put the gun away.
Yeah. Funny. I'll see you all on Friday. I guess. Standard times from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. And remember, there's always more, and it always gets worse.